Salutations and namaste. I do apologize for the little skipping across the um, singing bowls there for a little bit of that introduction. I will get it all recorded on an audio track and then edited in and on top of and stuff in the near future. This is just so new to me that all of that stuff really does have a lot of ins and outs to it. So thank you so much for bearing with me, and welcome, namaste. So getting into this meditation class, a different form of medicine, right? Sound therapy, Reiki, healing from within, healing other people, generational trauma and healing from generational trauma, and all of these aspects of coming to terms with what thought is and how thought works really come to surface through meditation and prayer. So what meditation, the root meaning, I'm not, I don't want to just say it's Sanskrit, because of, where do these words, where does this begin? Where does any of it, what came first, the chicken or the egg, right? And how did religion birth together across the globe at the same time? So really like claiming that anyone coined this term first, or this word first, or like Shakespeare invented the word eyeball. It had the same realizations and information of enlightenment behind the meaning and the intention of creating the word eyeball. So meditation literally means to become familiar with. Meditation is medicine, becoming familiar with. So as we are going through our day-to-day life and forming more self-control, dexterity and practice and testing our body and things like that, we will become familiar with this manifestation as well as astral projection and what we're actually doing here and now. There's so many reasons as to come back to this realm of solidification that we call life. There's multiple lessons to be found. There's lots of stuff to do, lots of entertaining stuff to do, right? And all of our thoughts kind of get on top of us and start to control the body that we borrow, just because of thanks to habits, emotions leading into creating our feelings, how we feel. Then it will progress into a mood that we portray. Then that flows into an attitude that tends to get on top of anyone that holds on to their attitudes. Then those will eventually form into a disposition, and then down the line, a couple years of repetitive thought processes and patterns will eventually climax into shaping our personality traits. So there is a lot to be unfolded through meditation and through concepts that are like words. They're both limiting us and taking us all the way there. So concepts is a large concept. Concepts of any modalities, any realities, any kind of ideas, mental fabrications, and or full-on concepts that are constructed in ways that organize information to the point of being able to close that book in your life and put that on the shelf and no longer have the past hunting and haunting and chasing us down. So that alone is its own concept of being able to conceptualize concepts. Chakras are a huge concept. Energy centers, energy itself, universal consciousness, and how those flow together with prana and kundalini. These are large concepts. They're sort of names. They're sort of ways of separating something in a way to kind of point at it, explain it, and then work with it. So in the beginning, we're going to be feeling and following energy, forcing energy, learning from energy, until we come to a place of disassociation from being in control of things, and then we will be able to learn how to work with energy, feel energy for what it does and how it exchanges. Energy exchanges are everything. Even money is an energy exchange. You wouldn't give anyone any money that you didn't believe in and weren't on board with. Same goes for selling anything to someone. It gets easier to sell something to yourself because of putting yourself in the situations of someone else, and then they are able to feel that you know where they're coming from, know where they're at, and have their best interests in mind. So this is a large concept as well. How to sit is a concept. How to sit down. And like I'm itching this tickle that keeps changing my focus and perception a little bit. That's a concept too, like just giving into impulses and being ticklish and being able to step through a tickle until it subsides and changes is another way of renaming an idea of pain. Pain is the same thing. We will feel some pain in our body and then need to scratch that itch, right? So being able to like step through a reactive state kind of flows into these simpler, smaller, seemingly insignificant moments of feeling like someone pinch you and you feel pain, and then it blossoms into something else, or a tickle that builds and forces you to scratch it. So how to sit. Let's first begin how to sit with how to sit. All we really need is reverence and a small space to create. So how we sit down and how we step and how we feel and think when we're bringing ourselves to sitting down and just finding comfort, because some of this is a little bit harder to like sit Indian style for a duration, right? There'll be a sensation of pain, and then numbing sensation can come after that, and then if you stay focusing on being numb in your legs, then you'll be very much associated with the body that you borrow, and the ego, the pain body, as Eckhart would express. As Eckhart would say, this is the ego and the pain body. So this is right there. You're at the doorway to stepping out of your body and being able to convince yourself that your feet don't belong to you, that your legs aren't part of you. And there is a deep meditation that is very simple, very powerful, and it is inhaling and repeating in your mind's eye, I am not the mind, I am not even the body. I am not the mind, I am not even the body. I am not the mind, I am not the body. And just repetition that flows into a bit of a chant, and chanting is an enormous concept, that once we kind of really understand how these concepts work, they will layer on top of each other, and you will think of a mental picture, and as you inhale, you'll be imagining little plus signs, and feeling energy fill up every cell of your head, every cell of your body, with the oxygenization of the blood. Little tongue twister, but indeed, you can feel all this happen, and inhaling brings energy in, exhaling lets energy go, and will be relaxation. Exhalation is relaxation. Inhalation will be very much building energy and charging the system up. So it is a process, and it layers on, like I say. Breath work is an enormous concept that has multiple facets. Sound therapy with drums, singing bowls, tuning forks, the high pitched sound of silence, of the S. Silence is very, very loud. It gets louder and louder and louder. So tuning into silence can be very intimidating. There is a room that scientists have created that is completely soundproof, right? It's stated that people can't stay in this room for more than 15 minutes because it is that quiet, and it gets that loud, and it's that invasive, and it creates pressure on the skull. So there's a lot more happening than meets the eye. Chanting is found in Buddhist, Hindu, in a lot of different religions. Chanting can really do a number of things, depending on what we chant. Especially the mastermind connection will be affected, as well as your state of being and your state of awareness. So I know Om is a popular topic or single word to chant, but as we're chanting Om, 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 the running thought that we are thinking is going to dictate a couple of things. Om is literally I am. And the I am is going to reaffirm everything that you perceive and believe. Even if we don't think that saying the words, I am anxious, I am on edge, even if we don't feel how that's reaffirming the state of awareness and the energy and the anxiety and the feelings, emotions that are being created and are released through the thoughts that we think, we're still going to be doing some things. So when you're saying I am in the form of Om and repeating in your head what you're trying to fix, I'm so anxious. Why am I so anxious? Why am I so nervous? Why all these things going on through your head? Controlling your thought is really, really important, because you will be reaffirming the state of awareness while contradicting thoughts are doing what they're doing. So it can be very confusing, right? And mastermind connection is a large subject of connecting into each other. Through meditations, we can tune into somebody already performing a meditation, right? And follow along, do a guided meditation with them. And all they are essentially doing is listening to the feelings in their body and speaking the words that the body is forming together for us to kind of share and draw each other in to the same vibrations. And then once we get on the same page with vibrations and thought processes, then we really get to see eye to eye, and we really start to form a mastermind connection. And the deeper we go through sensitivity, the more we will be able to share full on visions, mental pictures from individual to another individual. And I have been able to do this and be able to ask and reaffirm that that's what happened, that's what they saw, that's what they felt. Reiki, Sumati, Kundalini, universal consciousness, all these different words for the same energy really kind of show us what energy and motion is. And eventually it will form into an ability of being able to send energy, a shock from you into another person through touch alone or from distances. And again, I have experienced this with not very many individuals quite yet, because of how much sensitivity it takes to connect to someone. It really does take opening up and accepting them unconditionally, and then tapping into a sensitivity that they're also tapping into while open as well. So it really is like very much like Reiki. If you try and have someone perform Reiki on you and they do not teach you how to receive and step into a sensitivity, then it probably won't work. Then, they're going to try their best and they'll tune into the energy and they'll send the energy, and it will go out into everyone who's tuning in to receiving that healing quantum health energy. So even if you don't have a guru, a teacher, or someone that's going to send you this Reiki energy, you can still tap into it, because there's so many practitioners, so many people meditating all at the same time across the globe, that there's not a moment during the day that someone isn't in a lowered state of brain waves, of awareness, of tuning in. And tuning in is an enormous concept as well, that hops in and out of other concepts, just like any other good thought would. All thoughts are just holding hands with each other and holding each other up. A chain of thought becomes a train of thought until it is acted upon by a strong enough thought from the other side of duality. So a negative chain of thought will become a negative train of thought until it derails and explodes into self-destruction that spills over onto other people. Now, a positive chain of thought will turn into a positive train of thought and derail and explode into new thoughts, new experiences, new nuances of life that just invigorate the unit. So there's a lot to be played with this energy, and how to surge your whole body up, how to share that, how to send that, and how not to be drained out of the energy that you're charging up through misinformation and an association with empathy and sympathy that are unhealthy. Being empathetic is very, very beautiful, but turning that into a way of hurting yourself or hurting anyone else is not. It's very complicated, and it can be abusive in a way that solidifies into the fog of domestic violence that that's quite hard to bring up and talk about sometimes. So that is why there's another channel for the fog of domestic violence, named the fog of domestic violence, that I'll have links to in the near future, and get into that side of the rude awakening, if you want to call it the rude awakening. We're all waking up, and if you would remember how your mom wakes you up with her softest voice, or get up, get out, you're gonna miss the bus, and getting just very her own fright and fight or flight mechanisms come into play and try and protect you and try and help you not miss that bus, because time is irrelative. But if you're sitting still, time will pass you by. The rest of the world will just progress if you aren't focused on where you're taking your life. No one else is going to stop and just say, hey, get out of bed, get going. This is something that we need to grow into and be able to understand our inner coach and our inner critic for what they are saying, and keep it all inside if it's unhealthy. And silencing the mind is another enormous concept. The mind and the brain are completely different. The brain is an organ that, just like your pancreas or anything else, it's got functions that are going to happen and go on all day long. The brain is more active at night while we're asleep, but during the day, it's estimated in neuroscience. A lot of my stuff is going to come from neuroscience, but I don't feel the need to point it out. In neuroscience, it's stated like this. Silencing the mind and the brain. The brain is going to think 60 to 70,000 thoughts a day on repetition, basically, just kind of to keep you comfortable and in a state of normality. Whatever state of normality we create is going to be provided. So that's going to come from focused thoughts or feeding into chaos. The subconscious is an access point to connect into infinite intelligence. Now, if you access the subconscious with a negative connotation, attitude, intention, you're going to access an infinite amount of negativity. If you access the subconscious through a positive mind frame, learning capabilities that you can cultivate, that you can come at information in a different way and say, I'm curious about this. I wonder what this is about. It gets more detailed than that, but the way we come at information mandates if we'll be able to recall it, if we will retain it. The photographic memory will provide, just like a GoPro, a snapshot of every single millisecond you ever experience. So total recall is within grasp, but blocked up by that fog of domestic violence, by trauma, by assumed trauma, and by emotional imprints that the brain uses in order to bookmark moments in our experiential past. So being able to control any of this is within grasp. The subconscious programs that we set in place are set in place through repetition of thought and thought alone. Now that turns into the running thought that hops up on top of us and seemingly is forced onto the brain and the mind that is kind of looking for something, kind of going through a Rolodex, going through a file folder. The brain kind of has folders for everything that you ever experience and categorizes everything together, even if they aren't categorized together because they contradict each other. They're still put into a specific file folder just for that. Thought is enormous. So being able to kind of step beside what we name things turns into pranayama yoga. Okay, well, that's just a name for something that I just stated and am beginning to express or explain. Layering everything up. So meditation and pranayama yoga. At first, it will be sort of your feeling and what feeling you want to cultivate. Then that is connected to the thoughts that we think, so they dictate the feelings that we feel. Stepping outside of some of the thoughts that we think that are creating and bombarding our egoic expression that we're choosing to use at this moment, our personal residual image, we'll do a couple things. It attacks our own ego. There's a lot of self-persecutions that will come up in the thoughts that we think we're thinking, and then sometimes we'll be able to step beside them and say, hey, I don't think like that. Why am I thinking these thoughts? And these are some of the first stages in coming to awareness that you are not only part of your body, but you are also something much more. That you are more than worthwhile and more than an intricate puzzle piece that keeps the whole game being played. You're much more than just the little piece that you are. You are the entirety. You are the manifestation as well as the one that manifests. And reorganizing a relationship with reality itself, with the illusion, with manifestation, with our subconscious programs, really reorganizes your life and the way that events unfold. So there are various reasons as to why to get into meditation and why to start to explore an inner world, your inner self, the temple within. And vivid imagery, light, is basically all there is. So vivid imagery connects to the third eye and turns on mental pictures that again layer on top of everything that we're going to be layering on top of with. So a chant will also be employed by a mental picture, or induce a mental picture to form itself. So there's lots of different transcendental experiences that explain themselves, and they're all shared, but we can also have new visions and new experiences. So there's a lot going on with vivid imagery and how to add that to meditation, and how the theater of the mind is influenced by intricate muscle groups like your eyeballs. You'll activate your third eye by looking up and bouncing your eyes back and forth, in a way, because that's kind of like warming up your car. You don't really go anywhere when you're warming up your car. You kind of start it and wait, and then the motor gets going, and then it isn't as invasive with cold oil and blah blah blah, right? Focus and mind-muscle connections. These intricate muscle groups of the body provide certain different things that combine with each other. They layer up too. So getting rooted and clenching your gooch or your booty, your the holy anus. Clench and hold, and you will feel your energy and focus come from your eyeballs down into the root of your root chakra, and awareness at the bottom in your roots. And then you can add mental pictures of growing roots into the ground, into the earth, into everything with white light, right? Going into the darkness. You are the light, you are the darkness, you are the one that turns on the light. So there's a lot of feelings, feelizing all of this. You can kind of feel yourself drawing energy into becoming your roots, and then stay there for a while, and get deeper into a meditation that is naturally drawing your brainwaves down because of taking your awareness from your behind your eyeballs into the body in any point, anywhere, any form of awareness. And this is pranayama. So moving your ego around your body is what we're doing. Your idea of what you take yourself to be. Typically, especially since we drive down the road, we are taking ourselves to be right here with nothing behind us, nothing but black, and we're past it, we're gone, and we're only seeing this. This is natural because driving is ripping ourselves out of a natural state of awareness. We're going way faster than the body can even move in nature, right? We can only run like 30 miles an hour or something like that, 36 miles an hour, something like that. So you going 60 miles an hour is doubling that up. And if you allow yourself to slow down and feel yourself sitting, you aren't moving at all. The tires may seem to be moving, but even the world isn't moving in the way that you think it's moving. It's moving around you. So there's some philosophy there. There's some mindset and awareness there. But you will naturally start to come to these realizations and feel these experiences more and more just because of them being brought to your awareness and being exposed to the information. Information is funny. Universal consciousness is in everything. The same atoms that make this up were born in the star in the Big Bang, if you want to call it a Big Bang. We'll get into all of that stuff as well. But what makes up this singing bowl is the same star stuff that makes up your thumbnail. So shrinking our ideas of self-inflated importance down to a point of being able to feel equanimity and wash through the dividing lines that say this is my hand and this is my singing bowl. I am is a little different than my hand is holding this singing bowl. And some simple exercises like that can really make you feel drawing yourself out of yourself, stepping through yourself so you can allow the best version of yourself to take the reins and show the world your representation of you. So ego is enormous, and it is enormous concept that we will unfold, unmask, and play with, learn how to play with through yoga, through calisthenics, through energy accessing, through manifestation. Manifestation is an enormous concept too. It flows through from nothingness into seemingly words that are fed to us by our subconscious that then we get to choose and pick and choose and decide from. And then we manifest those thoughts into words, and then those thoughts can also be manifested into actions and more. So there's stages in a process of manifestation that link into astral projection, because everything is nothing but light vibrating into from sound into a solidification. Sleepwalking, sleep paralysis, cognitive jerks are all kind of connected to astral projection. Not necessarily, because if you're gonna go all the way in and leave the body to then solidify in a dreamscape realm full astral projection into solidification, then you're going to need to then you will experience sleep paralysis, and you're going to, if you're intending to do this, then you're going to need to perform a little bit of self-induced sleep paralysis, and that will charge everything up. And even if you don't get to the point of letting yourself step out of your body and explode, all of your anxiety, all of your anger, all of your internal issues build to this point of like, I gotta get out of this place if it's the last thing I ever do. So what happened here? Is it not on the... Anyway, I think it lost tracking on us, but that's okay. This gimbal is a little new to me, so hopefully it records this entire class. The last time I used it, it didn't record. So lucid dreaming, mental mapping, vivid dreams, nightmares, night terrors, our shadows, our reflections, all of these are interwoven and hold hands. They're all going to be connected with each other in some strange ways that are again part of these dividing lines that we will unfold together, as well as in yourself, that washes clean the ego that we borrow. You kind of start to eventually feel equality, equanimity, impermanence for what they truly are, and allow ourselves to feel and find the true reflections of what's happening in reality around us, how we shape reality, how we affect reality, and how reality has an effect upon us. This gets into a victim mentality or a survivor mentality, and being a cause of an effect. Something happens to me, or causing an effect, and everything that happens is thanks to the ways that we're thinking, and really taking responsibility and accountability for the reality that you are experiencing, the mind fabrications that you are creating, and the life situations that you have created. So reflections keep on going and going and going. They're also like our shadows. There's a couple different ways that shadows work, not just our shadows of our past, or the shadows of our thoughts, or the shadows of the self, even. We will get into shadows, we will get into reflections. All of these concepts are so enormous that they are going to take up quite some time, but it's going to be fun, it's going to be engaging, it's going to be great. So stay tuned, hit the subscribe button, ring the little bell so you can be notified when new videos come out. Share this content if it resonates with you, if it helps you kind of come to terms with your emotions, your state of awareness, or anything. And especially if you know anyone that this content can help calm down, can help reestablish a state of stillness in anybody. So, up and coming, I was planning on the next video being a guided meditation, and then possibly a small dissertation afterwards. That's kind of how I was doing it on my Facebook lives, was kind of a joined meditation together that I have pre-recorded, that I will also be following with you, and then kind of express some of what comes up through my own shadows, through my own awareness, through my own reflections, and through my own energy that is going to be partially connected to you, the viewers, because of that mind mastermind connection that we'll be creating. Sometimes they'll be from comments that you guys are sharing that I connect to and can really feel, because we've all been through so many of everything that eventually stepping into the shoes of anyone else is not that complicated. It's not that difficult, and feeling where someone is coming from is a skill that we all can cultivate and all should play with and all should learn from, because it just makes the world a better place. Tuning in is another concept. That is tuning your body is an antenna. I don't know if you've ever heard of this term, a tuning fork. You tune in from the bottom and then tune in to the top and then tune in to what you want to tune in to. So there's a couple of things that alignment really provide. But until we feel some of these experiences, all these words are just words. They're just symbols. These symbols will hit a blocking point and stop us from stepping through our fear, our insecurities, and any of these self-fabricated worries or problems. Defilements are unnatural, and I will have some links to multiple books on meditation, on human development, on and on. So definitely check out the playlists that I am slowly getting together and gathering. I gotta find all the old links to a bunch of old audiobooks, and it's gonna be a little process, but they'll be all organized right there for you. I kind of had made a Facebook group with listeners, readers, and storytellers is what it's called, and is called. If you would like to join that, definitely let me know in the comments, and I can send you a private invitation or something. I can try and learn how to put the link for I know how, for that group in the comments and stuff. But this is all so new. It is all from my phone for right now. So writing the descriptions and then editing the descriptions is probably going to be more of how I get the links in there, because I'll have to get them, gather them, put them, and then put them and explain it. And there's quite a little bit of a process to all of this. But yeah, it's fun. It's great. It's exciting. And thank you so much for being here, for joining me. Religions themselves, they are each their own concept as well as part of the same concept. Everything in life is an interpretation project, and in a number of ways, every religious text, every religion, all of it, every word means the same thing. I know that's kind of a little out there, that when someone was attacking you or really frustrating you, that all they were doing was trying to get your attention and share a moment in the best ways that they were able to and know how to do. Fear has people show up in a strange way. Being able to read through the intention and hear the inner child of who we're engaging with is a skill, and it also allows to catch everything with compassion, just because you can see where other people are kind of stuck and how that mental torment is and was affecting you in your past. Sometimes the mind chatter, the thought on top, our monkey mind just won't shut up. and we're kind of bombarded with self-doubt, with persecutions, and just emotions that are unwarranted. You are a beautiful individual that never did any of the things that really like build up into taking all of this out on yourself, and then that flows into overflowing onto the silver platter of abundance, and we take it out on those closest to us, and our support group doesn't deserve that. So just a moment of silence and like bring all these emotions to awareness and kind of step through them, kind of feel them. Feel them for the limitations that they have to provide. With any kind of fear, any kind of sadness, anger, frustrations, they kind of are limitations. So really reading when other people are stuck can be kind of hard. Compassion is hard to meditate on. It's almost as hard as unconditional acceptance. Unconditional acceptance is the key to everything, but it's also the most complicated thing any human being can undertake. We cling to everything. We cling to loss. We cling to energy in a way that becomes self-destructive. So that's all this is energy. That's all this Benjamin Button experience is, with quantum health and healing others, healing ourselves. It's very much tuning into a sensitivity and endless opportunities, limitless and infinite intelligence. So you're always watching you, and you always know that you had the best intentions in line. Something just got mixed up in there, and our frustrations turned into talking to other people in an unhealthy way. So reorganizing the way that we use words is also going to be a byproduct of meditation. You're also going to be able to form an unshakable mindset. You're also going to be able to use rational thoughts to come into contact with any kind of conflict, any kind of worries, any kind of problems, any kind of frustration, any kind of complications, and be able to assess, not necessarily right from wrong, but if this is providing a certain energy for you to cultivate, and if this idea is knocking down or being knocked down, then it's a house of cards. And the pyramid, that is your consciousness, that is your awareness, that is your mental structure and framework, needs to be broken down as many times as it needs to be until we get to a base, flat beginning, a nice, solid foundation without all of these stick men holding everything up, or lattice underneath. Yes, there's a skirt of lattice around a house or a trailer that adds aesthetics, but there's no weight being bared. It's not weight bearing. It's an illusion. So breaking down everything that can't handle the pressure of forming you into the diamond that you are, right? And just cleaning up the diamond that we are, that we've drug through the dirt and mud and gutters, comes from bringing awareness to ideas that can't withstand the pressure. So an unshakable mindset is a byproduct of just going through all of these stages of awareness. Our mental framework is very fragile, and triggers will provide us with certain outcomes and reactions. If you have, like most of us tend to do, allow the body to chase after impulses, desires, and good feeling, right? Feeling good, pleasure seeking, then this will turn into its own conundrum and its own concept and its own enemy, its own demon, its own reaffirmation of our childhood conditioning. Dharma and karma, generational trauma, all flow through our mere reflection of how we see ourselves, of our residual image. Dharma and karma are completely different while being very, very similar and as well as interwoven. The dharma from a different lifetime and lifestyle is product of the karma created and consumed in that lifetime and that lifestyle. So you are creating your own dharma now through the karma that you are creating. But those are large concepts as well. Karma literally means just action. So from nothingness, we create thought. And that is the beginning of karma. Thought is what we dwell on while we're actually acting and doing anything. So sometimes we can literally feel ourselves just spiteful and bitter about the actions that we are performing while doing something for someone else who is completely capable, who has all the means to an end, and then we just dwell on what we dwell on because it's human nature to have a competition, the competition that is life, the popularity contest that is life, show up and start to kind of jab and stab our life situation that we perceive we are in. So wanting a better life can be good, can be great, but it can also trigger us into more ego, and focus is the only thing that can pull us out of that. Those forms of mind fabrication are all natural. They pop up in all kinds of different ways. You'll be needing to find details and point out reasons and causes, right? Somebody cuts you off and you'll be complaining in your head about why they did that or what they was. I don't know. There's 1,000 different things that your brain is going to do just to reaffirm a state of awareness through a chemical release response that is connected to every emotion that we feel. Now, emotions release chemicals that last anywhere from 5 to 20 seconds, sometimes up into 2 minutes due to the severity of the event, right? Now, if we stay in these emotions for any longer, it's just kind of like kicking and screaming so we can get attention. The body is talking to you. That's about it. So those emotional expressions turn into the feelings that we feel, and then we wake up and we're just kind of 2 weeks later in a mood, and that mood is noticeable by other people, so some people will ask us about it, and living a life in the rear view mirror perspective will just be another reason to trigger into telling them and explaining everything about what's bothering us and what happened and who did who to what and where the blame needs to be laid, and all these accusations just flying around when that's not even what happened. So not exactly what happened, right? Some of the things that do happen are very aggressive. They're very invasive. They're very much going to trigger our protective mechanisms, but using rational thought and stepping through the chemicals that are released is anything attacking you. Reacting like something is attacking you is sort of what we're going to be getting on top of. Now, fear is hardwired into the body we borrow in our DNA that links us into stepping out of the mental cave in which we dwell, the literal cave of our home, and into the world. So keeping ourselves on our toes with a worst case scenario being played and overplayed in our mind, our head, our brain, is only natural. Stepping through these assumptions and jumping to conclusions, now we're getting somewhere. And now we will be starting to form tangible applicability with the information that we're consuming and blaming and getting upset at. So there's a lot going on with thought and thought itself, and how to come to terms with meeting it on these level playing fields, and then learning how to access it and work together. Working together is going to get it all the way there. Teamwork makes the dream work. That's what's up. So I'm a little embarrassed of my job killers there. Please don't judge me for some tattoos. At any rate, thank you so very much. Namaste. We will get into more and more explaining all of these concepts and layering them up, as well as some meditations that take us from A to B all the way to Z and home again. So I thank you, and we will see you on the next one. Be sure to like, subscribe, and all of that jive. Thank you so much.